Hi everyone, this is Jeanette Roxanne Marcelle, better known as Chef Marcelle of Handmade by Jeanette Company. Handmade by Jeanette Company is a lifestyle company. We make clean granola, unique sauces and spice rub using 75% locally sourced ingredients. And what do I mean by locally sourced? It means that it's grown locally, it's buy directly from the farmers locally. I think I could refer to myself as an East girl. Reason being is because I was born in North Mansalina and raised between North Mansalina and Sangre Grande. I guess country girl come to town kind of thing you could say. Because growing up in North Mansalina, literally growing up where you have to do chore before you go to school, you have pigs and goats as your pets. It was an interesting childhood coming from that and then hopping and skipping around the world. When I travel, that kind of helps to keep me grounded, being from Boys Town. It's quite interesting when I'm standing in places like the Colosseum. I'm always in awe of that, and I think my upbringing kind of helps to keep me grounded that way. So for example, like when I started my products, especially with the cocoa, my grandfather, he was a cocoa farmer in that period where Trinidad and Tobago was responsible for 20% of producing the world's cocoa. We were like the world's third highest producers of cocoa. So to fast forward all these years later and using cocoa in my products is like I have come full circle. So I use fresh ginger in the tea. So what I did with the ginger, I buy it, clean it, dehydrate it for at least 2 days and then pulverize it. So I try to keep some pulp so that way you see it's nice and pulpy and pungent. That's the difference with fresh ginger versus store-bought ginger. Sometimes I do mix some store-bought, but I try to do as natural as possible. And then I do the same thing with the orange peels. So I dehydrate the orange peel and then I grind it and then I'll pass it through this to get at meat, to get more just the powder. Some of the peel I leave in because you still want some little particles of it. But this part I'll just grind it until it gets to powder. So yes, it may be a little time consuming, but this is what makes the product like really natural. And as I mentioned before, I replace the black tea with the orange peel. So you get that nice orange peel, slightly bitter, coupled with the chocolate and the ginger and the clove and the cinnamon. All that give you a nice rich chai. So I usually get my chocolate from the Brassosico region, and the reason why I take chocolate from there, this particular cocoa powder that I use, it's pure. It's very little processing is done to it, so it still have a lot of the cocoa butter, so you get that nice, dark, rich. So here you'll see your nutmeg that was freshly grated, and you see how nice and dark this cocoa powder looks compared to commercial cocoa powder. And then you have your nutmeg, and of course your cinnamon. Because the cocoa is pure and it still has some cocoa powder in it, now is where I will put on my gloves and get in and mix it to make sure that everything is evenly mixed. Literally like if I'm kneading flour. So you can see all the different particles you see in the ginger, you see in the orange peel, but you still can see the cocoa. These are the bottles that I use. These are 4-ounce bottles. Well, sometimes I don't always use this because sometimes I don't always find it, but for now, this is what I use for. And again, I measure everything because I want to make sure that my customer is getting value for money. So it's 4 ounce or 120 grams. So this is important to make sure that nobody tampers with your product or anything like that. And I like the clear seal because you see, even though it's sealed, you can still see the color because I like the yellow and the red, the contrasting colors. I'm into colors. So why these particular products? So first it all started with being unemployed, being an unemployed travel chef and having a surplus of ingredients, things like chocolate, cocoa beans, coconut, pepper, and things that was left over because, as you know, we were collectively sent to our rooms and small farmer holders couldn't do anything with these products. I actually entered a chocolate cooking competition, and that's where the idea to pair chocolate and tamarind came along. And after the results, and they were like, oh, this is a good product, you know, you should bottle it, you should do this with it, but you know how difficult it is to get a product onto the market. So I just basically put it away and I went about my business. When the pandemic collectively sent us to our rooms, I had a minute to really sit down and think and really, you know, collect my thoughts and decided, okay, do I want to continue working for someone else for the rest of my life? Or is this the opportunity where I could create my own products? I could go back to those notes. So now we are heading to, there are some farmers on the stretch on the O'Meara Road that I usually buy stuff from, and the reason being is because these are the same farmers that is be in the Arima market on a Sunday, and I try to buy from specific farmers all the time because I have to do a traceability of my products to make sure that it's good, and according to good manufacturing practices, I try to buy from the same people all the time. So there's some farmers on the side here on this stretch that I usually buy from, or I would buy from the Namdefco farmers on a Sunday in the Arima market because they are GAP certified. Hello. Hola. How much are your pineapple? How much? I want to get 3 big ones. So I just got some fresh pineapples to make the coconut and pineapple peri-peri sauce. During COVID again, you know, most of us started a kitchen garden, and with me, when I started my kitchen garden, I started it with the hope that a lot of my herbs I would be able to use for myself. So like the thyme and the turmeric. So as you could see, this here is turmeric, that is ginger, and all this thyme here is usually, so that way I know that what I'm putting in my product is 100%, well, we are not organic certified, but we as close as possible in terms of using products that are natural. So today for my coconut and pine, I'm going to be using fresh herbs. We refer to it as Jamaican thyme, and then there's also the big leaf thyme, so you know that you're getting 100% fresh. So I cut it in a way where it would spring back and I would have for another batch, because I also use this in the herb and pepper. Because it may look like it's not much, but trust me, when this grow, it's a lot. So I just snip. For this sauce, I don't need much. I just need like a few springs because it's just to have that little flavor. So now I'm going to wash this. So I usually wash it thoroughly. I do a vinegar and salt wash, so that way whatever residue you have on it will remove. So for this sauce, I didn't mention before, I use the quick cook method. It's going to cook for a bit, and then I will add the onion and the pineapple. So again, the key in this sauce is the marination, as what will help to bring out the flavors and build the flavors. So that way you taste the coconut, you taste the pineapple, you taste the scorpion pepper, you taste the herbs. Oh, I forget the scorpion pepper. So this is pure scorpion pepper flakes. This is what I did myself. I bought the peppers. This apparently is like about 15 pounds of pepper. This is what it gets to when you dehydrate it. So this, you will have to go far away when I open it, because this is fire. This you see here. So because this is more the mild sauce, I will use just like 2 teaspoons of this would be enough for that whole pot. And this I usually add last, because I usually have to move away from everything before I add it. So now that has cooked a bit, I'm going to add the onions and the pineapple. Once I take it off the stove, blend it, I would blend it, then I would add the vinegar and I'll put it back on the stove. Because it's a quick cook method, I would leave it to cook for at least 45 minutes, and once that's finished cooking, I take it off the stove and I bottle it immediately. That way it helps to retain the freshness of the sauce and the flavors. But the silver lining was I was able to finally sit down in my room with my thoughts and my recipe book and decide, you know what? You have the time now, you either do or die, and create a line of products, which is what I did. And in creating that line of products, I realized that not only Trinidad have a surplus of ingredients, I mean really good things, but there's so much you could do with simple ingredients. I mean, who would have thought that if you pair chocolate and tamarind, that you would get such a delicious sauce. And pairing chocolate and tamarind that you find here locally, and then you add some balsamic vinegar that is international. And there's where Tiny, in my country girl meet international, kind of Tiny in the local with the luxury to create all these delicious ingredients and all these delicious products. Okay, so where you can find my products, so 2 of the sauces and 2 of the granolas could be found at all excellent stores. You can also get most of the products in Eat It Marketplace on Scott Street in San Fernando. You can also get most of the products on Caribshopper, that's an online website. Or if you want, because it's 14 products, not all the stockists will stock them. You can also contact Handmade by Jeanette Company in Malabar. We are opposite, or literally opposite the secondary school, Malabar Secondary School. My social media handle all are the same: Facebook, Instagram, Handmade by Jeanette Company or Handmade by Jeanette TT. My website, same thing, handmadebyjeanette.com. My number would be on the screen. And all of these products, you can call me at any different times of the day. They would be delivered to you. Or, as I mentioned before, you can call the Market Movers online supermarket and you could order any of the products and they would also deliver it to you.